Hello, we're going to be discussing Barnes & Nobles and all the things that you need to know about them.
My name is Brian Levine.
I'm Anthony Lamb.
Stacy Price and Kayla McCoy.
Let's begin.
Here's a brief overview. Barnes & Noble was founded in 1873 by Charles M. Barnes. In 1917, Barnes' son William joined with G. Clifford Noble to then form the name Barnes & Noble. In the 1990s, Barnes & Noble expanded to include superstores, which helped them expand their market. And today, 96% of retail sales come from those same superstores. Barnes & Noble's website is now the biggest official store with the most options, which include music, DVDs, toys, games, and even cafes in their stores. Barnes & Noble has three main competitive advantages. The first one is size. Barnes & Noble has taken over a large part of the market through their superstores and sheer volume of physical stores throughout the world. The second is the internet. Barnes & Noble added the Nook brand, which allowed them to increase their sales and expand their market internationally and help people who couldn't get to physical stores or didn't have access to them. Barnes & Noble College is the third main competitive advantage because they currently serve over 5 million students and operate in over 770 campuses nationwide, including Campbell University.
So as Brian just talked about, competitive advantages aren't always sustainable. So competitors can easily overcome with innovation and aspects such as that. So sustainable advantages in Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble dominated brick and mortar stores. So they started out really strong in the brick and mortar industry, but Amazon took over. They obliterated the price strategy because they started the ebook business and everything was based on price. So Amazon took over and everything was really inexpensive. So that's what everyone was going for. As far as Barnes & Noble's sustainable advantages, they have innovative technology. So they began researching in the children's book industry. So they were the first ones to make the Nook, so the tablet that focused on only reading books. And it focused on illustrated ebooks for children to interact with, and it had a really simple interface. So that strategy is sustainable because they can focus on the demographic of children. The Nook is not as sustainable because Amazon and other companies like Apple made tablets that are more advanced and have more properties to use rather than just reading. So you can do more on these tablets. So Barnes & Noble's greatest differentiator is their brick and mortar stores. Since they're the only one left, they obliterated all the market. They're the only brick and mortar specialty bookstore left. And they specialize in having a unique and relaxing environment for everyone to enjoy. So they have coffee shops and seating across the board so people can enjoy the environment. As far as mission and vision statements for Barnes & Noble, their mission statement is short and very strong, as you can see on the slide. Their vision statement, however, is a bit contradictory and slightly untrue because they say that they have growth in the e-business market and they're doing so well when really they're falling behind and struggling to compete with companies like Amazon.
So going into the SWOT of the business itself, there's a few things that actually pointed out. Because of the internet, like Brian discussed earlier, it's a big innovator. It causes a lot of things to change and it completely changed the market for everybody. So because of Amazon being the largest online retailer, they need to rely on strong web presence so they can increase sales on digital content, like digital books basically. The Nook, as we like to discuss earlier, it's not the best sustainable advantage, but we still have it, and it's still kind of like the thing that kind of brings everything out still. So we still have new additions coming out, such as the Nook HD as well as the HD Plus to help out with those sales. And another thing, like Brian said earlier, with the colleges and universities, we need to increase partnerships with them. Since I don't want to say there's an unlimited amount, but there's a lot of choices to choose from. And being Barnes & Noble is kind of the only retailer that actually has physical locations still, we have a lot of colleges and universities to choose from, and that could be a big outlier for us. So talking about Porter's 5 forces, there's the supplier's power. For us, that can be a positive thing because we're the only retailer that's still out there. We can kind of set our own prices as long as they're within regulations everything for the authors and publishers that we still carry. Buyer power, unfortunately, might have a negative aspect because the internet allows people to kind of have different options out there, so they don't always have to come into the bookstore and buy the books. They can just look at them, see what they need, and go on Amazon. So we need to figure out a way behind that. So that brings us into the competitive rivalry, which Amazon is that biggest problem because they're the ones that obliterated the price strategy and just completely changed everything up because of the ebook. So you can just have anything, and you can buy almost anything, including books, on Amazon, and it just ruins the idea of a bookstore. So what Barnes & Noble's kind of did was bring out other items such as apparel, toys, and other items like supplies and stuff like that would help, but it doesn't always succeed as well as much they thought about, because when you go into a bookstore you kind of only think about one thing, and that's books. So you don't really think about clothes and toys. However, you can look at them, but it's just not what you're actually there for. So, and then finally we talk about new entries. Because of the internet, it allowed a lot of things to open up, so a lot of people can come in without little knowledge of the market, but there is still some limitations, regulations they have to follow, so it doesn't allow everyone. But it's a pretty open market out there, so that could be still much of a problem for us, so we have to worry about that as well.
Okay, just like how my colleagues have already touched up on some of the things that are affecting Barnes & Nobles, we're going to look at the PESTEL analysis, which is going to look at the macro environment of Barnes & Nobles, and that's basically the outside forces that are going to affect the business. And we'll be looking at political and economic factors, social, cultural, and technology factors, and environmental and legal factors. For political and economic factors, this is going to probably hurt Barnes & Nobles more because of President Trump's executive orders for trade, and what is probably going to cause a lot of problems for Barnes & Nobles is doing trade globally, because a lot of President Trump's executive orders are focused on trying to bring companies that have gone overseas and in partnerships with different countries like China and South Korea. He's trying to bring them back over so that they can, over to America, so that they can make the products there. And that could raise the cost of the products to increasing prices and probably not have good quality maybe. For social, cultural, and technology factors that's been touched upon, like everyone else has said, the shift in interest towards using e-commerce and e-books is starting to become more greater than it used to be when Barnes & Noble came out. And it's starting to let technology advance more into having people be able to download e-books, music, and apps on their tablets, phones, and computers. Another factor that could possibly that is affecting Barnes & Nobles is the deforestation of trees. Now we're going to look at the products to see the products that Barnes & Nobles offer to their customers, to see if they are able to support a competitive advantage and sustain it by looking at the Verne test. The first two parts of the Verne test are valuable and rare, and they let us see if the product can sustain a competitive advantage. Well, not sustain a competitive advantage, but has a competitive advantage, excuse me. And we look at that by seeing if the product's valuable and rare. And as mentioned before, the retail products that Barnes & Noble sell are not really rare or valuable. You can go to other companies like Walmart or someplace and buy them for like cheaper prices and a wider variety. But for the Nook, it is a one of a kind, so it can be rare, considered rare, since it is a tablet that's specifically only for reading books. But when we look at the second part of the Verne test, for its imitatable and non-substitutable, which will allow us to see if the Nook can sustain a competitive advantage. It cannot, because of other competitors who have developed similar and better products, like the Kindle Fire for Amazon and the iPad for Apple have come out with better products that allow customers to do more with them.
So because Barnes & Noble is struggling, as you can see by their financial statement, as we talk about later, and their struggle to keep up with the market, we've come up with a few strategic objectives and goals so they can do better. The first one is to develop greater corporate governance by revising the vision statement. So as I talked about earlier, the vision statement is untrue and it lacks appropriate direction. It talks about what they're doing right now, which isn't necessarily what they are doing right now, so they need better direction forward. They also, an objective is to become the top seller in the ebook market. That's a big feat, but through our analysis and recommendations, it is possible. They also would like to gain the loyalty of new enrolled college students. So that is one of our recommendations, is to target new college students with the ebook industry. So we talked about earlier our brick and mortar stores, how they're important for our brand image, but as far as gaining new customers, if we targeted new college students first beginning to enroll and suggested package deals with the ebooks and the Nook or some other reading device, then we would have students throughout their college career. They would have the Nook and they would continue to buy electronic textbooks as they go throughout college. So it would be a revenue stream for Barnes & Noble. More strategic objectives would be to create a stronger online brand image. We could do this through creating customer profiles and really focusing on customer satisfaction. So really focusing on making the customer happy and really giving good product descriptions and reviews and all of that on there. We'd like to create long-term contracts with suppliers. Right now our contracts are short-term, and if one of our major suppliers, which supports up to 50% of our company and books, were to drop out on us, then Barnes & Noble would be in big trouble. They also would like to develop a stronger partnership with Google, because Google is so integrated with many different avenues. If we partnered with Google, such as sharing warehouse space or some data analytics, Barnes & Noble would really get an advantage out of that. Some financial objectives would be to decrease cost on the individual brick and mortar facilities by 10% by the end of the fiscal year, because we put a lot of revenue into individual stores when really we need to be focusing on the company and the marketing. We'd like to increase sales of the Nook to 15%. Right now it's at negative 33%. We'd like to increase it by 15% in 3 years. We'd also increase e-reader market from 8% to 20%. So right now our e-reader market is only 8% of the entire market. 20% is where we'd like to be.
Some charts to see, kind of like the financials for the business. So, well, we appreciate the time and actually allowing us to show you what we could have done for this business, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you again.